All right, Ragers, I don't even know if I could sit down for this one. Returning to our show is Mr. Beatrice Quinton Anonymous. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back, Red Pill Rage. I really appreciate this. I'm looking forward to this.
Woo-hoo! Beatrice and I are about to get in the ring, and I will say that I wish Michael Rappaport was here with us just for this one conversation. Even though he talks crap about Walk Away and he hates Donald Trump, he also hates the gentleman that we're going to be covering today. And as a Golden State Warriors fan, it is natural for me to already hate this guy.
Yeah.
But over the years, he's given us even more reason to do so.
Yes.
We are going to be talking about Mr. LeBron James himself. Ooh, we want to fight. Ooh, we want to fight. Ooh.
Yes. Congratulations on your 4th title, and savor this moment because I hope it never happens again.
Exactly. So, Beatrice, start the show by talking about all the sports stuff, and then I'm going to end it by talking about the I Promise School and just clarifying some of the misconceptions that I think are out there. A lot of people think this guy is a hero, and I am here to tell you he's not. So Ben, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much. Let me just give everyone just a few more minutes of intro about you. So Ben contacted me through Twitter. We've been talking for the past couple of weeks. We've got an incredible project that we both want to be working on, so watch for it in 2021. We've got a lot of work to do to repair our society. And Ben and I both realize that the fight we're in is absolutely psychological. And the way that the American mind is being manipulated through entertainment, music, TV, sports, news, all of these different messages coming from being bombarded on the American mind from all these different directions. We are tired of it and we're ready to put a stop to it. So we could not resist the opportunity to roast LeBron James. Go ahead.
You know, I'm
sit down. I'm ready to fight.
I appreciate your energy because as a Chicagoan, as a Michael Jordan, like, you don't understand this. Like, I'll tell you guys a brief history of me and my sports fandom. Like, I love Chicago sports. I grew up, my first sports memory is the Bears in the Super Bowl. And then I love the Cubs. And then all of a sudden people started talking about Michael Jordan. And he was just the man. He was awe-inspiring. Like the city was taken over by the Bears love. Like, it was like nothing else. Like when he did the sketch on Saturday Night Live about the Bears, like the Bears took everything over. But then Jordan came along at just the right time, and watching The Last Dance was the gift that keeps on giving to 2020. Like, you can watch that a million times and just fall in love with the guy over and over again. You know he's not perfect, but just the way, the drive and determination, like, this is the man you want to be like. You want to be like Mike. And like Clay Travis says, it's the best promo going. It'll always be the best promo because you want to be like Mike. He's so infectious. He knew how to be in front of the camera. He knew everything. He had all the intangibles. You need the intangibles as well as a great game. And just when I saw him hit that shot against Cleveland in 1989, it took a series where you're down, and one shot propelled the Bulls to the next round. The Bulls weren't supposed to be there. They were a year early, and they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I felt terrible for Cleveland, but hey, it's our time, and we're coming up. And I still have the poster in my garage. The shot, it's maybe this big, but it's just a cutout from the Chicago Tribune, and it's so great to see that shot play out because he did it well. And I was at the game where Michael Jordan did what's known as the switch, where he switched hands in midair. I was there, 3rd row, upper deck, and I saw it live. When I close my eyes like this, I can see him going down the lane. Like that, I don't have many memories growing up, but I can vividly remember him doing that. And I was there the next year when he hit 6 3-pointers in the first half against Portland. So those are my memories of Jordan. See, fast forward, and I started getting out of my love of basketball when he was retiring. And even before then, the second three-peat wasn't as big in my life. I was more into music at the time. But seeing The Last Dance is like everyone's like, well, we've seen this before. Like, I was alive. I was in Chicago, but did I really see it? And it's just all the behind the scenes were great. And then, basketball needed a new hero. So Kobe Bryant comes along, and you see the transition in the Last Dance. And Kobe is the next Michael. Like you saw it. Like, the one clip I saw is when the Lakers killed the Bulls, like, by 20 points. And Kobe had a dominant game. And it's like you could see the respect going that way. And Kobe was going to take basketball to where it needed to be, the NBA where it needed to be, and he did that. 3 titles in a row. Can't take anything away from him. He had Shaq, but irrelevant. Like, Kobe was definitely the next superstar. Mm-hmm. And then you remember hearing the rumblings in early 2000s, like, who is this kid? There's this kid in high school, and he could be the next guy. And coming around in 2003, and my cousin said, yeah, I played with Dwayne Wade. And like, we were in the south suburbs. Like, I played against Dwayne Wade, and he was so tall. he's so tall against all these kids, and my cousin's maybe 6 feet at best. And it's like, okay, Dwayne Wade's coming, and like all these other guys, but this LeBron James is going to be the next big superstar. So you see, like the best moments you have of the NBA draft, because I love the NBA draft more than anything else, because it's quick, it's 2 rounds, and the one player is a game changer. That's what I love about basketball, is one player can make the difference. You screw up that pick, and you screw up everything. It's like the quarterback in football. Like that's why I love the NBA draft. And I remember going flashback to 1992, I believe, or 3, and the question was, who's not going to get the first pick? The question is, who's going to get Shaquille O'Neal? Like, he was a man among boys in college. And when they changed the rule for college to NBA, it really, in my mind, it screwed it up, because I love the NCAA tournament more than anything else. Like, it's my Super Bowl. Like, I love baseball.
Yeah, it is for a lot of people.
But yeah, like, who doesn't love picking all the games? And I'm in a squares pool where you pick all the scores. Like, it is, you don't even know any of these players, but you get to know these players as you watch. Because I don't have time to watch how many teams play. I don't have that kind of time. Well, when they changed the rule, they can leap right to the NBA, and it makes it hollow. It's like, these players, we need to see them. Like, these colleges do a great service for us. They put them in the spotlight. They get to learn how to be a man. Like, these players, you don't understand. Like, and you're robbing them of that opportunity. And the guy's like, well, if you're old enough to go to different other jobs, why can't they play the NBA? I'm like, well, I don't know if you know this, but life isn't fair. Like, there's certain rules for different things. Not all rules are meant to be the same. Like, you can, like, I can say I'm going to be a doctor at 18, but no. You have to go to 10 years of school. Like, you can't just be a doctor.
Yeah,
so
you have to figure out where you're going to come up with, the $500,000 to pay for it. It's not for everybody. Not everything is for everybody.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, I want these guys to go to college if you're going to have if the one and done rule doesn't work, then have the 2 and done rule, where it's like, okay, you can go right straight to the NBA, fine, but you're risking a lot. You're risking not being able to grow up as a human being, but you'll make money right away. Is money your driving factor, or is it to be the best? You want to be like Mike, because at the end of the day, Mike is got the most money. He's a billionaire. He owns a team. So you can be all of it if you want to. Or you can go to college for 2 years, which I hope they do, and you can entertain us, and you can learn how to be a man at the same time. And we know the universities are a problem, but that's a different conversation.
Theoretically, we can learn how to be a man, right?
Right, theoretically. But you want to see these guys on display.
There's the discipline.
Right. So that 03 draft was just amazing, because you had LeBron, and Cleveland got the first pick. Then he's the Cleveland guy. And you had Dwayne Wade, you had Chris Bosh, and you had Carmelo. I mean, that's just an all-star draft just in that realm. Mm-hmm. And so he's the rookie of the year, obviously, and he's taking Cleveland to new heights. So I want to say it was 07. I didn't do all my research, so I apologize. But that first time he was in the tournament, in the NBA Finals, he had no help. Like, no help. He was doing it all on himself, and he made it to the finals, and they got swept by San Antonio. And you felt bad for him. But then it's like, it's just the beginning. Like, you don't understand. Like, this sky's the limit. Like, you'll have LeBron in the league forever. And lo and behold, yes, we do. So he's on Saturday Night Live, and you can just see the charisma oozing off this guy. Like, he's dunking over people in the sketch, and he's doing other things in sketches. Like, this guy has the it factor. He could be the next Michael. But then he takes off his career, goes his career, and the moment that hit me the most, I think his whole career, is when you're not sure if he's going to re-sign with Cleveland, and you know how bad he wants to win for Cleveland. He takes off that jersey, going to the locker room, again with defeat against the Celtics, and you just know it's over, and you know that Cleveland's not going to get the championship. And being somebody that's, as far as my sports fandom, I call myself the anti-Scott Van Pelt, because I don't want to see the same movie over and over again. Like, I just got into a conversation with tennis. Like great, it's great we're seeing Nadal and Djokovic for the millionth time, but it's the 56th time. Like, how many more times are you going to try out the same 2 people every time? Like, the greatest rivalry when I grew up was Christina Everett and Martina Navratilova, and they faced off 12 times. This is 56. Like, who wants to see the same 2 teams? Who wants to see Boston and LA every year?
Every year, right?
You can see it once a decade. I'll see the Yankees in there once a decade, but I don't want to see them every year. Mm-hmm. I'd rather see other teams get to that mountaintop, because when the Cubs got there, it was the greatest moment of my life. Like, besides my wedding day and other events, like the Cubs winning the World Series is the greatest day of my life. Like, it was a whole thing. I want everyone to experience that for themselves. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see the same movie over and over again.
Right. So
LeBron does the special, and he made money for charity. Like, it was a great thing for that. And I don't fault him for doing it that way. But when the Bulls had a chance to get him, they didn't open up enough money slots, so they couldn't pull off all 3. And I guess all 3 of those guys were a package deal. Bosh and this is summer of 2010. Bosh, Dwayne Wade. There was a three-man deal. And Dwayne Wade loves it so much in Miami. Who could blame him? It's Miami cool. Who wouldn't want to live in Miami?
Right.
No, certainly, we all want to.
Yeah.
And so Pat Riley is so brilliant. He cleared the slate So obviously, like, if there's collusion going on or something, like they got together and they figured out a way to say, we're all going to be free agents together. We're all coming to the same place. Maybe the rumors of the Bulls are the smoke screen. We don't know. But they all signed together, and, more power to them. But that just shows Jordan had people wanting to come to him, not the other way around. Like, he didn't recruit anybody. He might have recruited some people, but he didn't do it to the extent LeBron did. LeBron needs to play with other players. That's why I'm saying there's no way he's the go-to basketball. It's Michael. It's 100%. Because Michael has the it factor, has everything else. And that first year was just a disaster year. 2011 for Chicago fans, they might not remember this because it's almost a decade ago. But just everything that could have gone wrong for the Chicago sports fan went wrong. From the Bears losing to the Packers in the biggest game ever. This is the greatest rivalry. It's one of the greatest rivalries in football. And they faced off finally in a playoff, and the Packers won. That was the worst feeling ever. And the Cubs were a terrible team. They were just starting to rebuild, but the Cardinals beat the Cubs. And then they took that momentum to the World Series, and they won the World Series. So you had two biggest rivals won the titles that year, and then the summer the Blackhawks lost in a heartbreaking fashion after they earned the first round, but it's still like a rival Canucks. And then when the Bulls had a chance that first year, that's Derrick Rose in his best chance to beat them, and they won Game 1, and then they just couldn't beat them after that. And I hate seeing teams celebrate on your court. Like, that's the worst feeling as a sports fan. It's just to see that moment. Yeah. And it's like, okay, Miami's gonna arrive in in a year or two, and no, they're arriving now. Like, they're here and they're here to stay. And just seeing them celebrate, and then getting it in the title, seeing Dirk win a title for the Dallas was so great just to see that moment.
We got to bring this back to LeBron because you need to go pick up your wife. So
okay.
Let's bring this back to. So let's fast forward. All right. So
okay. So getting that point,
you're following LeBron's career.
Yeah.
He starts making waves around 2007, right? That's when you start noticing him. That's when I think a lot of us start noticing him. I'm on the West Coast, so we don't give a shit. Okay. That's it. But, we start in Golden State, we start to notice LeBron because he becomes, it's like every year, Golden State versus LeBron, Golden State versus LeBron, no matter where he's at. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
All right. So we've got Steph Curry, who is the babyface assassin. Okay.
Yes.
We've got Andre Iguodala, who's badass. We've got this amazing chemistry between Draymond Green and who's the light skin that I love?
The point guard.
Yes. Okay. So we've basically got our 4-man threat. We bring on KC. It really doesn't make that much of a difference. And then he gets injured. That was just a giant waste of money. That is a very it's very indicative of how San Francisco overspends and wastes money.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, LeBron is this guy. Okay. He's dominant. He's a dominant player. It's hard to beat him. It takes 3 or 4 against 1 to beat him. Okay.
Yes.
We get this. But now we're starting to see him open his mouth in places and ways that he shouldn't.
Right.
And we're hearing him say things in alignment with China. And we're hearing him say things that are disrespectful to the president. And we're hearing him say this and that and this and that. Now we're starting to notice him for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Take it from there. Right.
Exactly. Like he said he went to Miami to go to have his college experience. Like, I respect that. And when he went back to Cleveland, he's like, okay, I'm going to do this for Cleveland. Like, all right, I respect you for that. And then just to see, like, because like you say, San Francisco, and I'll confess, like, I have some sports hate for different people in rivalries, but I hated San Francisco teams my whole life. It's just the way what happened in my life is just the way the San Francisco beat us and beat the Cubs, and the rivalry with the Bears, like, oh my gosh. And then just to see that game, they're down 3-1, and everyone's like, we hate LeBron. Well, we hate Golden State because they have 73 wins, and the Bulls only 72. It's like, well, who do you root for? Well, it's like, I know who I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for LeBron and Cleveland because I root for the underdog. And Cleveland hasn't won a title in so many years. Mm-hmm. And when that 3-1, was it Draymond that got suspended? Right?
Probably. He's the one who can't keep his hands to himself. I always used to make this joke. If you bring Draymond to the green, if you bring Draymond Green to a party, you got to warn everybody before they get there.
Yeah, exactly.
He's that friend. You got to warn everybody about.
Yes. And because he got suspended and the momentum flipped and they're down 3-1, and that doesn't happen in basketball. There's never been a 3-0 comeback in basketball. Never. It's happened in baseball and hockey. It's never happened in basketball. Once you get up 3-1, you're done. Well, 3-1, and Cleveland's chipping away. And that last game, when Kyrie hits that shot, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to win this game. Mm-hmm. And Cleveland wins. And it's like, Cleveland, this is for you. it was so refreshing to see. But yeah, like, oh my gosh, like Steph Curry is saying he's not going to visit the president, and LeBron James says something about I'm not going to stay in Trump Tower. It's like, well, what do you have against Trump that much? Like, why are you saying this stuff that you're saying? And you fast forward to today and how he's taking all these players away. Like, there's a rule in the NBA, you have to stand for the anthem. They have that in the CBA. And so that prevented all the stuff from Colin Kaepernick from happening in basketball because they know it's a bad look. They knew it. But once everything happened this year, the Black Lives Matter happened, it's like they have to stand up for it. They have to do this. They have to do it. Like, okay, you're going to kneel now. Okay, we get it. And it's terrible. I showed the screenshot to my friends, and even my one friend who's been like my sounding board through all this, I showed him this picture, and he's like, I don't get it. And I'm like, what? You don't get it?
Can you read it? Because we can see the pictures, we can't see the letters.
It's basically Laura Ingraham. He's against Laura Ingraham. It says, shut up and dribble. He's like, she's racist. And then you got President Xi, shut up and dribble. And there he goes. He's dribbling away. And like, they didn't get the joke on it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't understand what's going on here? You don't understand what he's sticking up for? And they're like, no, I don't know. And then you hear the GM, the Rockets say something about Chinese, the Free Hong Kong movement. They lost a lot of money for that. They lost $1 billion, something crazy. The NBA lost. Like, what the heck? You don't piss off China, obviously, because something is screwy. And there's LeBron James talking about social justice. Like, okay, like I don't want anyone to get hurt. I want police reform. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Like, okay, it's easy for me to say don't do crime. Like, I'm not in a high crime area. It's not for me to talk, but come on, man, you have the option not to commit crime. And I was showing this to somebody else, like, and I show this to people on Twitter, and they're like, well, it's not America. I'm like, well, who cares? You have zero sympathy for Muslims in concentration camps in China?
Right.
I mean, these are people that are oppressed. They don't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and I show it to people, they're like, well, it's not my situation. And when I got into a spat about Colin Kaepernick earlier this year on my burner account, because I didn't have the guts to say, I've never had the guts back then just do a podcast with you. And I'm on the burner account, and I'm saying, this guy, Vincent Goodwill, who's a reporter for the NBA, says Colin Kaepernick was right all along. And I'm like, no, obviously not. Like, he's causing all this division, and now we know how deep he is into this, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you see all the hypocrisy. It all makes sense. And I'm talking to these people in there, like, I'm not going to give up. And this one person's like, I got to join this rally. You don't understand. I'm like, okay, like, I wish you like nothing but the best. I don't want you to get harmed. And she's like, then we got a like. And then I talked to somebody else. I'm like, well, if you hate it so much here, why don't you move? He's like, well,
all right, I got to stop you. We got to stick to LeBron, okay? I don't want to hear about your friends. We got to stick to LeBron because I want to get through my notes too, and I want you to get through all of yours.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's like, what's driving LeBron to be the way he is? And then I saw this on Instagram, and this is I can put the link on the site. This is LeBron doing his thing right in the middle of the court. Like, he is not hiding it at all.
Wow.
Right in the middle of the court, and whatever the Illuminati stuff is, I don't even get what that is. But when you flash a 666 sign, it's like, wait a minute, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just like wanted to vomit. Like, what is this guy doing?
Right.
And it's like it's evil. Like, here he is right there, 666. And it's like, this is the guy the kids are looking up to this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, the kids are really looking up to this guy.
Yeah,
they really.
Another screenshot where it says, "Well, LeBron can't be Michael Jordan, so he's gonna be Colin Kaepernick instead." And it makes all the sense in the world if you think about it. Like, and his actions are disgusting. He's a bad person. Like, I feel bad for these kids that are being manipulated because he's taking the whole NBA with him. That's the thing that sucks.
Yeah.
And that Jonathan Isaac was the one guy who says, "I believe in Jesus. I don't believe in this Black Lives Matter. I'm sorry." And I want to get his jersey. I really do. Because he's the one person that stood up. He didn't put the shirt on. He has the jersey on. And he's like, no, I'm not going to follow you just because you're telling me. And he tore his ACL. You couldn't feel any worse for the guy. Mm-hmm. And they got the 4th title. And Jimmy Butler is the best Chicago Bulls since Michael Jordan. I really wanted him to win. But, when you're outmatched, you're outmatched. And I just think it's the strength of Lucifer that's fueling LeBron right now. If you want to tell me something different, that's my feeling. And the Lakers just got their 17th title. 17. It's like, okay, you just won another one, and another team goes without.
Yeah. But
it's all going to come back on them. Like, we're not giving up. And guess what the NBA did? The Black Lives Matter is coming off the court. The jerseys, the stuff is coming off the jerseys. Because when you lose, when you're in you lose 70% of your audience, money talks.
Yep.
You can talk about social justice all you want, but at the end of the day, money talks.
Right. And it just lets us know what prostitutes are in charge of all of the sports leagues.
Yeah.
They're all prostitutes, and that's fine.
Right.
Because
Right.
we have our own little project that we'll be launching in 2021. We're going to give them a run for their money.
There you go.
But we'll get to that later. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. But I wanted to talk about, it's more serious to me that I bring this up in two ways. 2 years ago, when LeBron opened his I Promise school in Akron, Ohio, everyone was so happy. Here we have this new school where we've got this renovated office building that LeBron James and his foundation, And real quick, when we talk about foundations, I don't want to disparage every foundation that you see, but let's just say in a lot of ways it can be used to wash money anyway. I'm starting to wonder when we see these foundations if they're just like basically front organizations for something much more sinister. Okay. Especially when it comes to the Clintons. They completely changed the definition of foundation in my mind. And I'm not accusing LeBron of anything, but a lot of money, relatively a lot of money, but not a lot of money. It depends who you are, but everyone was just super excited about the school. I mean, LeBron James just became this elevated hero for his bullshit. And there's certain things about the school that I wanted to talk about today. So I'm just going to, get to it.
Please enlighten me.
One thing that is positive is they definitely have a very family and love and intellect oriented school. And so I see what they're trying to do. They have people in place that are trying to turn the school into a positive thing. They know that a lot of children in that school district are missing school. There's a lot of bullying, there's poverty, there's homelessness. And the purpose of this I Promise school is to really turn all of that around in Akron, Ohio. Well, it all sounds great, right? It all sounds great. Now, I have also read that because of the lengthened school day, so they have a lengthened school day, and they provide private tutoring after school, that it's actually helping students that were in the 10 to 25 percentile. So they directed their lottery at students that were in the 10 to 25% style in their second grade classes. Now, let me just back it up and give you a couple of facts about the school. So most people don't even know that his school is not a charter school. It's a public school. Why is that important? Well, people might have their opinions about charter schools either way, but my opinion is public schools were really that great and the transparency and accountability was really there, then nobody would need to open a charter school. But the fact is, it's not there, okay? So people can talk shit about charter schools all they want, but charter schools are an alternative that actually most charter schools really do want to create an educational system that creates students that are hireable and graduatable. Okay, so you can feel how you want to feel about charter schools, but let's be realistic here. This is not a charter school. This is a public school, which means it is under the same syllabus guidelines as shitty public schools. They hire teachers from shitty public school backgrounds. It's the same wrapped up, repackaged, and put in a different location. But I found it odd. This could work in both directions. Currently, the school is only taking capacity for 325 students, 340 students, something like that. And they're only taking second and third grade. And I thought to myself, well, if you're going to do it, let's really do it. But then I read further and I saw that they do want to open it up for first grade through eighth grade. So they are trying. They're going to have to find a way for it to expand. And it's almost like they're starting this out. I will give them credit. They're trying to start small so they can develop the right way and develop slowly. So I'll give them a break and a pass for that. The curriculum is very STEM oriented, math, science, math, engineering, science. So I think that's great. 3/4 of its families meet the low income threshold to receive help from the Ohio State Department of Jobs and Family Services. However, what you need to realize about this school, this is not LeBron James School. The school's $2 million budget is funded by the district, roughly the same amount per pupil as it spends in other schools. But Mr. James's foundation has provided an additional $600,000 in financial support for additional teaching staff to help reduce class sizes in addition of 1 hour of after-school programming and tutors. $600,000, that's it? Can you Google what LeBron James's foundation net worth is? Can you Google while I read that? Because I want you to know that. Because for him, that don't seem like a lot of money.
No.
It really doesn't. Now, there is other money that he put into the Akron, Ohio school system, and I do want to bring up that number. It's a bit higher. Okay. I have 3 articles about it. I have quite a bit. So I just want to reiterate that Akron taxpayers are paying for this school and its daily operations, and LeBron is only paying for the other wraparound services.
Yeah. Wow.
They estimate, they estimate that the school will eventually cost taxpayers approximately $8 million per year. And I'm hoping that it goes to that number once they've added the other grades. I'm not sure where that estimate comes from. It's not clear in the article that I'm reading. Did you find his net worth?
No, you just want his net worth itself?
I want to know his net worth and then how much money the foundation has.
Okay.
But let me keep reading while you research that.
The one thing that sucks about having a protest against Google is Google's so easy to use. DuckDuckGo sucks. So it's going to take me a little bit longer.
That's fine. Take your time. I'm still reading. I still want to get some more facts here. Okay. In 2019, LeBron helped build transitional housing for families whose children attend the I Promise school and are experiencing homelessness or struggle to have stable, safe housing. Well, here's the problem when I hear the word transitional housing. That can mean anything. That's a halfway home. That could mean the entire family stuffed up in some, rental slum. I don't know what that means. So that's not, if you don't want to build permanent housing, then I don't want to hear about transitional housing.
Yeah.
It doesn't impress me. You see, the media likes to use a lot of words to make things sound better than they are. Transitional housing, what does that mean? You bought a hotel and you've got everyone stuffed in a roach motel? I don't know what that means. So until I see the housing, I don't know what the quality of that housing is. And when you're at that level where you have that much money, you could build your own freaking apartment and have permanent housing for these families. It's only 340 students. It's not that many. Right. Okay, so don't talk to me about what you spent. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to get to something between him and Jared Kushner that was said.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm still looking for the foundation. I don't know if I'll be able to find what they're worth, but I mean, LeBron is worth $480 million.
Okay. All right. So his little transitional housing and the other. Okay. So in addition to his $600,000 in financial support, he also provides another $2.6 million annually for the other schools districts in Akron, Ohio. So we've got $2.6 million. So basically $3.2 million is all he spends every year. Okay. Wow. And we're all going to kiss his ass and bow down to him for that when he's worth 400 million and watching how many more million of money, getting how much more that we don't know about from China.
Yeah.
Bro, if you want to be a hero, you need to put more money into it than that. I'm a money person. If you're not going to do something that's really going to make a difference, then shut up. Another thing,
$100 million a year, it said he was making. So yeah, take that into consideration.
Okay. He also added, okay, so we can add another $2 million, but this is a $2 million one-time cost that he put for improvements to secure the office building that they're using for the school. Okay, so I guess he paid the interior designers and the instructors, construction people, that's fine. So, all right, so for the first year, he put literally, $2.6 million for the whole district, and then $2 million for the I Promise school, plus the $600,000. Now, when you go and you watch all the news reports about it, what do they tell you? LeBron gave them free backpacks and free shoes and free lunch and free this and free that. The taxpayers are paying for part of that. LeBron is paying the salaries of the tutors and paying the salary for that additional hour that the kids are getting. Plus, he paid for the building and its improvements. Yeah. But he's not paying this. Listen, with public school, when you're dealing with low-income kids, they get free or subsidized lunch anyway. So he didn't actually pay for all the shit that he said he paid for. Okay. Yeah. So let's. Okay. So that additional $2.6 million around the entire Akron school district goes towards mentoring, college, and career preparation. But that is only going to 1,100 other students. I don't know what the population of Akron, Ohio is, but it doesn't sound like it's that many, to be honest with you.
Right.
1,100 students. Hopefully, it's the best of the best. They are very proud of the school culture, which is habits of promise, and we are family, and blah 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 blah. But I will say this: after researching all the pedophiles that I know about, you got to be careful with when people with really big money are coming into impoverished neighborhoods, because we don't know if their enrollment system gets hacked, the pedophiles know exactly where the kids are.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I did this when I did my Wayfair Gate series, which is still up for debate how much of that is real and how much of that wasn't. But I will say this. Almost every nonprofit organization that Wayfair Gate was a supporter of had worked with kids. That's all I'm going to say about that. Right. Let me go into LeBron James, this is how we know when someone's serious. When someone's serious, they're about solving a problem. They're willing to reach across the aisle. They're willing to partner with anyone that is willing to partner with them. So I have an article here from August 27th this year. It's from the Washington Post, where they're attempting to disparage Jared Kushner because he misspoke and called the I Promise school a charter school instead of a public school. Okay, so he misspoke on that. But when you read the whole article, they're trying to disparage Jared Kushner, but to me, they're really revealing how nasty LeBron James is. And I'm just going to read the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah, let's read. I'm really interested in this.
Okay, so Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law and one of his closest advisors, complained on Thursday that NBA superstar LeBron James had opened a charter school, but still backs people who want to close them down. Okay, Kushner is wrong. At least, see how the second line was Kushner is wrong.
Yeah.
I guess we're all supposed to get a hard on from that, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
At least about James opening up a charter school. Okay, so he thought it was a charter school, but it's a public school. Whoop-de-doo. Let's keep reading.
Exactly.
What James did do in 2018 was help open a new school in the Akron, Ohio district where he went to school. And there are big differences between public schools and charter schools. The I Promise school is designed to provide academics as well as social and emotional support to at-risk students, aka the most at risk because their parents are junkies or absent or don't care, so they're easy to kidnap. Boom.
Oh, man.
Okay. Akron taxpayers, here's the most important part. Akron taxpayers fund the school and its daily operations, while James Foundation pays for the wraparound services and other programs there. In 2019, LeBron helped build transitional housing for families whose children attend the I Promise school and are experiencing homelessness or struggle to have stable, safe housing, which we know can mean anything. I want to see a photo of the apartment. Show me a photo of these apartments or these rooms before I give you a pat on the back with your $400 million net worth, okay?
Yeah. Right.
One of the reasons James did what was considered notable at the time was because other celebrities who have jumped into education philanthropy have backed alternatives to public school districts such as charter schools. Tennis great Andre Agassi and musicians Pitbull and Sean Diddy Combs, for example. Okay, well, here's the thing about charter schools. You can control the curriculum, okay? You can control the hiring. You don't have to hire from inside as much. You don't have to play the corporate bureaucracy game as much. So you have more freedom to teach children. So when I hear people disparage charter schools, I want them to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Both district and charter schools are funded by the public, but charters are run independently of districts, sometimes by for-profit companies. Well, here's the thing. If I'm Apple, okay, now that's not to say that they're not going to indoctrinate your kids, because they might. But let's say I'm Apple and I want to start a STEM school. What I'm going to do with my charter school is I'm going to make sure that the skills that I'm teaching the kids are the skills that we're going to hire for 5 years from now or 10 years from now.
Okay. Makes
so
perfect
when
sense.
you hear them talk about sometimes for-profit companies, that's because they're trying to, especially at the high school level, they're trying to get you hireable. So they're coming in and writing curriculums that are not 40 years ago.
Right. They have an
They're
investment.
writing curriculums that are current.
Yes.
Okay,
It's an investment for them. It's an investment.
Right. So let's not get our panties. But this is how Washington Post tries to screw words around. Okay.
Well, absolutely.
Most do not have to be as transparent with the public about their operations as do school districts, and many have closed for financial or other problems. Hey, that's true, and it goes with any business. If you don't have the right people in place, you're not going to make it. Okay, so are there failed charter schools? Yes. But are there successful ones? Yes, there are successful ones as well. Okay. Kushner made the comments on Thursday while being interviewed by Anna Palmer and Jake Sherman, co-authors of Political's playbook, Plug In with the Playbook. One of the topics they discussed was the decision by the National Basketball Association players to opt out of a playoff game on Wednesday night in protest of the shooting of Jacob Blake, the drunk. No, Jacob Blake was the rapist wife beater.
He's the rapist pedophile, yes.
Okay. A black man. Why do we even need to put that in there? By police in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Blake was shot 7 times in the back as he was returning to his car, where 3 of his sons sat. Like, what does that even have to do with Jared Kushner? And why is that even in there? Let me move. Kushner complained that NBA players weren't doing anything concrete to further social justice. True. They're just stirring up emotions.
Yeah.
They're not furthering social justice. And
Mhm.
Sherman says James had in fact created a coalition to get out the vote in November's election. That's when Kushner said the players should reach out to Trump and work with the president. And he continued with this. This is Jared Kushner's quote.
Okay.
What I would like to say, look, LeBron James has opened a phenomenal charter school. Okay, he meant to say public school. He said charter school. Whoop-de-doo.
Right.
Which is making a big difference in Cleveland. And yes, he is making a difference because the test scores are really, really high right now. Okay, we'll give him that. Okay, we will give LeBron that. Okay, but it's not really his school.
Okay.
Remember?
Okay, we got that. Got it. Noted.
But then he's backing people who want to close down charter schools. I think, look, if LeBron James reached out to the White House and our people reached out to him, we are happy to talk to him and say, look, let's both agree on what we want to accomplish and come up with a common pathway to get there. And let me tell everyone, that is how Donald Trump does business. He will give you a second chance after you talk shit about him. He will look past the past and try to move forward. That is the first family.
Yes.
That's who they really are. They're
Yes.
not, they don't hold they hold a grudge, but they're still willing to shut their mouths and work with other people.
Good
Kushner
people.
said he would reach out to James on Thursday, but nobody should hold their breath about a real James-Trump alliance. Trump has attacked James on Twitter. In 2018, the president questioned James's intelligence, which I think we can all fairly question.
Yeah.
Recently, Trump labeled NBA players who kneel during the national anthem at games to protest racial injustice as disgraceful, which they are, and says he stops watching games when he sees them do that. Well, apparently everybody else stopped watching too.
Yeah.
James recently responded to those remarks and Trump's comments that has done more for the Black community than any president except perhaps Abraham Lincoln. When told that what Trump said, James replied, "Trying to make me laugh now, I appreciate that." That's how snide LeBron James is.
Right.
As for losing Trump as an NBA viewer, James said, "I really don't think the basketball community are sad about losing his viewership." Okay, well, are you sad about the 70% of America that you've lost your viewership to, LeBron?
Yeah.
Because as far as I know, can you find the ratings for the what was it, Monday night that they won?
Monday night, they just posted it. I can look at Clay Travis has usually all that stuff. I'm sure. Let me pull on him real quick. Oop, wrong one. But yeah, it didn't get much better. And like this is a game 5. This is a game 6, and it's LeBron James. He's the biggest guy in the sport, and like they were counting on him obviously to get him out of this thing here. Let's see. Nope, there's no number there. Okay, the NBA Finals ratings for all 6 games are in, and they were the lowest in NBA history by a ton. Get woke, go broke. Outkick.com for more details. Go to Outkick.
Exactly.
Travis is awesome.
Exactly.
In case you haven't heard Clay Travis.
So I want to wrap it up.
Okay, let me tell you one thing. Last time LeBron James played in the NBA Finals, 2018 Cavs Warriors, the games averaged 17.56 million views. That number represents a 50. Oh shoot! All right, I went too far. 57% drop. Wow,
So that was for 2018. But you know why? You know why? Because that was the second or third time it had been the same rivalry. So like you said in the beginning of the video, you get tired of seeing the same teams play. Now for me, I love watching my team play, but outside of these two cities, nobody's going to give a shit. They're getting, so that might have been, but still. But
the good thing about basketball is you want to see the stars too. Like that's the star appeal in the NBA is bigger than any other sport. Like, so they draw you in. Like, you want to see LeBron James. You want to see whoever his next closest rival is. You want to see that versus a team of just misfits. But I like seeing it that way. And I mean, gives them some credit. Like, they were up against football. They're up against baseball for the last game. But there's no reason why there's a reason why people aren't tuning in. And they call them the Corona Bros. Like, all these guys are trying to spin this into, well, people are, no. The reason is the social justice. People are sick of it. And like, I know I don't have that much time, but just to say, look, Colin Kaepernick, if I was Roger Goodell, I'd throw him through a wall because he lost 25% ratings, 25% of the ratings, and what else? Like I was going to say something else, but basically he comes out, Colin Kaepernick says, not enough. And I'd be like, I lost 25% of my ratings and that's not enough for you? Like, screw you. And we donated $250 million to Black Lives Matter. Like, oh my gosh, I'd be fuming if I was Goodell.
And then didn't he get another? And didn't Colin Kaepernick personally get another 60 million from Nike just for that stupid ad?
Yes, I believe that's the number, and he's getting more from ESPN for that documentary that hasn't come out yet. Magically, has not come out yet. We're going to see how he was oppressed his whole life. I'm sure he was. You know, I'm not going to speak for someone, but you know what? When you're profiting off people versus the people that are actually protesting, like there's a post that Aubrey Huff had, and these guys are kneeling on towels. Like they won't even protest the right way. They won't even go in pain. Like they're babied. They're babied.
They don't want to skin their knees.
That's what we can't stand is the That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well,
listen, comfort, he said. It was funny.
Yeah, listen, I know you got to go, but this has been such a great conversation, being able to roast LeBron together. Too bad we don't have Rappaport with us, but then we'd be going all day.
You're right.
Why don't you leave your socials with everyone so they can follow you?
Yes, please. Please
and
follow me.
Your hashtag. Tell them your hashtag.
Sure. The hashtag. Well, my account is at BeAnonymous. You go to Twitter and it's at BeAnonymous20. That's my professional account. That's where we're trying to get Trump elected. We're trying to get rid of this. This is good versus evil. This election is so important. You have to vote. You have to vote the right way. I don't want to tell you how to vote, but you obviously know which way to vote. So go to BeAnonymous20, and then you can link to my personal account through that way. And I'm also on Instagram. You can find my Instagram at Proof and Personal Accounts. That's PROF. N, the letter N, PERS, and ACCT, so account 20. And that's how you link to my account. But basically, it's just screenshots of the Twitter, because the Twitter is where we're gonna find the truth. Like I started with just my overviews. I love Twitter. I love being on there. It's a great medium. I don't want to be canceled.
Yeah.
That's what your fear of. If you get too big, you're gonna get canceled, right?
Right.
So I talked about sports. I've talked about music, and now we're getting into the Hollywood realm. This week is all about Hollywood, and I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy the ride, because I try to mix in a couple different points of view, and you can look at my professional account and say, okay, I'm making this point, but then the personal account, like, attack me, like, go for it. I want to hear people's opinions. I want to hear what your opinion is. I talk about the greatest of all time and everything, and Michael Jordan is the GOAT. That was the only spot where I put it in the professional account. Is on the professional account is Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. You want to dispute me on anything else you can, but he has a total package. He has all the charisma. He is the leader that America needs, not LeBron James. LeBron James is weak, and he is not the man you want to look up to. He's a devil worshiper.